Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. I am really happy to have you here with us today. Right now, I am heading down to check morning chores and to milk my milk cow. We all pitch in to do chores in the morning, and start to finish, it only takes us about 20 minutes total to get all the animals looked after. First stop is our rabbit tractor. Gotta open it from this side. Look at that cute little bunny. Isn't that the sweetest? So this chicken tractor hasn't been moved yet this morning. You can see that all the grass is packed down and there's some manure there. Aren't they sweet? Oh my gosh. This rabbit tractor here has wheels on the back end and handles on the front, so it's really easy to move every day. So I think what we're gonna have to do today is actually get our meat bird and turkeys moved. So we're using this electrified fence here, this poultry netting, and we have our tractor in the middle of it, and it just has an opening on the side so the birds can get in and out. This just offers them some shade and protection if it rains, but the ground is starting to look a little yellowed here and packed down, so we'll move them onto some fresh grass, probably right over here. Good morning, everybody. So these guys are bronze orlops, and these are Timothy whites. Cuties. Meat birds are looking good. And these two little guys over here, these are Welsh Harlequin ducks, and they are just our pets. They just get to wander around and free range during the summertime. Good morning, milkweed. Good girl. You got your eggs? They're beautiful, aren't they? Things that I love about a milking machine is how clean I know that the milk is. So, and this little lady just peed in the stanchion. So there's like pea spray, as you can imagine, which is pretty disgusting. And when I would bucket milk before, I would actually throw that milk away, because that mist is just in the air, and that's gross. But this way, because the milk is contained from where it exits her teat and then into the machine over here, it's all sealed, I know that my milk stays clean, and that offers me an extra peace of mind that I really love. My back isn't fantastic. I hurt my back many years ago, and it was really starting to feel the milking, so I'm really grateful for this machine. I always get asked about the brand of this machine, so let me show you. So these machines are made in Turkey, and the distributor in Canada is called And Dairy. Fantastic company, awesome family, super awesome customer service. And we bought this just about 3 months ago now, and I haven't had an issue with it. Little piggies in a little nest. Hi guys. Sheepy's having breakfast. And Mr. Patty over here waiting to come out and have his breakfast, aren't you, buddy? Hey? Sweet boy. You are a sweet one. Once we get milkweed into the stanchion, we get him all haltered up so he's ready to go. So when she comes out of the stanchion, we can let him out of this pen, and he just runs after her up to the pasture. So for those of you that are new here, we do once a day milking. So we keep the calf separated at night and then put him back out with his mom during the morning. So there are a couple of challenges that can come with once a day milking, and the biggest one is that mama cows can hold back their milk for their calves. Now, since we got the milking machine, this hasn't been an issue at all, because the milking machine doesn't tire out like my hands do with milking, and I can just keep it on there until she lets down. The biggest advice I can give you is to just be super persistent and never let the calf back in with the cow until she has let her milk down. So the way I can tell if she's done is these are clear, which is awesome. So I can tell if she doesn't have any milk left. All right, Missy. She'll just stand here and wait for Patty to come out.
That's a good girl.
Are you guys waiting for your breakfast? Is it breakfast time for you? So I have 2 buckets of really hot water here. This one has vinegar and soap in it. And this one has just plain hot water. Swoosh it around really well. And all that hot soapy water goes up here and cleans the tube. As it is, all the soap's out, I plunk it into my rinse bucket. I always clean out the suction part of the claw, this part here, just to make sure that there's nothing up in there, because I want to make sure that I keep all bacteria out of that, because that's the part that attaches to her teat, and I don't want her to get mastitis. And of course, I don't want any gross bacteria going into the milk that our family is drinking. This is slightly comical. I was so distracted with showing you guys the milking machine and talking about it that I just pumped all of that water straight into my milk. Oh my goodness. Good grief. Good grief. Pay attention, Chelsea. Oh. Fortunately, we get several gallons of milk a day, which is more than enough for our needs, and I still have milk in the fridge. So it's just the way it goes sometimes, isn't it?
Oh no. Oh no.
I ran the cleaning water through the milking machine before I took the milk out. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we have the chicken tractor is moved and their water is now full. Feeder's full over there. The girls got the rabbit tractor moved so you can see where it was there. And now they're over on fresh grass over here. Oh, there's Honey. Honey still has not calved yet. Is still looking very much pregnant. Honey. Hi, gorgeous. My beautiful girl. Hi. Hi. Such a gorgeous girl. I just love ya. How's that baby doing in there? The dairy thought that she was bred for a May calf. No calf yet. So she definitely was not bred for a May calf. And then we have Miss Thistle over here. Was the 3rd cow that we got from the dairy. She's actually a first-time heifer, and she has also not yet calved. She has started forming a bag. As you can see, she's not the friendliest, but she is forming a bag there. Can you see that? So she's a first-time mama. So this is a good sign. Okay, so the plan for today is to get all of the garbage in the garbage trailer, taken to the dump, which I know sounds super exciting, doesn't it? The other thing that Dan and I are going to do is to work on the ceiling. Water trough is full for the cows, so we can turn off that hydrant. We're gonna do some work in the cabin this morning and finish the ceiling. So if you'll remember back 6 weeks ago or so, our goal was to have this cabin finished by the beginning of June. For lots of reasons, we haven't been able to work on the cabin very much, but we do have the loft built, the hole for the entrance to the attic, the plywood on the ceiling, and we've started putting the tongue and groove that we're putting on the ceiling. We have the rest of it put up over here so that it's easier to do. So Dan and I are going to come and hopefully get the rest of this ceiling done. Have started just putting on some insulation. This is rock wool insulation, which is an R14. And then we do have the new window in over here, and we still have to put the other new window in over here. And then we did buy a new front door, which I'll show you out here for the front door. which we have out here with a nice big window in it to help brighten up the cabin even more. The other thing that I need to do, all the cows just came down, so I'm just going to show you the whole little ragtag herd of cattle that we have. But I do need to get some spaghetti sauce made this morning. We're going to have supper early today because my girls have a dance recital this evening. So I need to have that done so that we can eat early enough. Hi, Oakley. So that we can eat early enough to get there on time. Good morning. How are you, you good boy? You're such a good boy. Yes, you are. All right, here we go. This little guy is Patty. So that's Fireweed's baby. So Fireweed was my milk cow. She passed away a couple of days after Patty was born. And then we went a few days after that and purchased Milkweed up here, and she adopted Patty, which has just been fantastic. We also bought Thistle and Honey. This is Frederick, one of our steers. Our bull Wesley, he's a Jersey bull, just a little dude. And then in behind him, this red one here is another steer. So we're going to keep Wesley here to breed Thistle and Honey after they've had their calves. Usually they get bred about 8 to 12 weeks after they calve. And then we will be keeping Honey and Milkweed and likely selling Thistle once we get her trained up as a milk cow. And then all the steers will be raising up. We just butchered one of our steers last week, and then we try to have a steer that we can butcher around every 6 months or so. So we keep whatever babies are born that are born bulls, castrate them, and then raise them for meat. And then all the females we either keep for replacement heifers for our own herd, or we sell them. What you doing? What did you find? What'd you find? Is it your breakfast time now too? They've had lots of nice fresh meat over the last week. We freeze all of the extra trimmings and things like that, but they've had fresh stuff because we butchered all those pigs and the steer. So they are happy puppies. A little bit later on, we're going to take a walk up to the spring and see how it's looking up there. Dan did get the spring all pumped out. So we have a grass-fed, not a grass-fed, I have cows to the brain, a gravity-fed spring water system here. So our spring is up the mountain this way, and then the water's piped downhill to our house. The really awesome thing about this is our water system isn't dependent upon power. The not so awesome thing about it is that it does require some maintenance. And one of the things that we need to do is pump it out every 6 months or so. So
inside the box, this is our intake that runs down to the house. This is the water coming in that comes from the springs above. I have a 4-inch pipe running that way, and that's where the ditch feeds. If you look deep, you can see there's a level of silt. And now this is the biggest downside to this system, that in my opinion, is there's a level of silt that's almost up to the bottom of the intake screen. We're going to pump that out. It has to be done about twice a year. We try and do it in the spring and the fall. Otherwise, when you create a lot of draw, you're running a lot of sprinklers or frost-free hydrant. You know, people are feeding animals and stuff at the same, or watering the cows while the sprinklers are running and the house is running, etc. There's a lot of draw that occurs into this pipe, and if the sediment is up near the top, it draws quite a bit of sediment into the actual water system, and that's obviously a pretty big disadvantage. So when I installed this, I set the intake level a bit higher, and then right at the ground level where I wanted the water to go out, I've also put a 4-inch pipe. And the reason I did that is because I wanted a bit of agitation from the water dropping in to keep, you know, things like pine needles and whatnot that might come into the system, or leaves. And I wanted it to work like a pool skimmer, where it moves the water and the floating items right out the top and out to a ditch down below. And that has worked extremely well. As you can see, I haven't been up here in months to check this, and there's very little debris. You can see there's a little bit of pine needles there that might have gotten into the system, maybe a few seeds and stuff, but very little debris. All right, so how I deal with cleaning out our wells, I have just bought secondhand a few years ago, something called the trash pump. It's a large diaphragm style pump that is able to pump mud and silt. It does that by articulating this up and down, and it's just a big rubber diaphragm, works like a big heart almost, and sucks the mud and stuff in and just shoots it out the other side. See, that's basically, it's all like a fine silt and sand that collects just over time with the water running. And this well goes about 4 feet deeper than that. Let the pump run, and I just use the shovel and I direct all the water around to break up all the material so the pump can drain it out. And it takes, like I said, it takes about 6 months to fill up, and then you have to come up here and pump it out.
Dan did that the other day, but we're just going to go up and check because we also had to dig out an area of the spring, and a bunch of that dirt ran into our spring box. That was our fault because we forgot to divert it from the spring box out into the overflow before we started disrupting all of the soil. But we're just going to see if it needs to be pumped out again because all that silt that we disturbed ended up in that well box. So we're going to go check that out too a little bit later. We don't have our Bluetti power system set up over here yet, so we're still having to run extension cords all the way up to the house. Okay, we do actually have extension cords put up all over the place, so it's pretty easy to run them where we need them to go. It's blustery today. It got down to around 4 degrees Celsius last night, which I think is around 40 Fahrenheit, something like that. Put one on, just the long one first.
Need one more there. And then that should be enough, I would think, because I can trim around the outside.
The opening, okay.
And then we need the short ones for there.
Okay, let's do it. There, and then I'll move the ladder. I'll go on this side.
Do we want to cut the other ones before I go up there?
May as well, I guess. What we've been doing is Dan has been going up in the loft, and then I bring the ladder.
I've been looking everywhere for these screws. But
Oh, you found them? Oh, good.
Well, the kids put them in here, I guess.
Kids brought them in. And then I bring the ladder over here and hold it up from this end. And we just are using a brad nailer to nail them on. I think it's going to look really nice. I don't see one out here. I'll go grab it. Okay, just a quick jaunt down to the shop to go and find a tape measure. So do we need anything else? Measuring tape? Okay.
I don't think so.
Let's do it.
I just have to cut whatever we
Let's
need.
cut some boards now. We have had some rain, which has been wonderful for the garden. Now we just need a little bit of heat to get everything really moving. But it's starting to look good. I cannot wait until my sunflowers are up everywhere and there's some color from the flowers I planted in there. Something I am so excited about is the bagger that we got for the back of our lawnmower. We have a Troy-Bilt lawnmower, and I use grass clippings in my garden for mulch, especially this year when it's been so dry. I don't know if you can see all the grass clippings down there, but there's a ton of them, and we have a huge area that we keep mowed down, both for aesthetic reasons, but also for fire protection. So we have the whole play area here, this entire area all here that's along the edge of the forest. We keep all of this area mowed. So that's a lot of grass clippings, and now that we can collect them, I have basically an endless amount of grass clippings, which is fantastic. Want me to go just to the edge of the opening?
Yeah, just hook it on the edge.
Okay.
These all proper now. I bet you we could finish this in 2 hours.
I bet you too. Way. And and then we go out the door this way. There we go. Got it?
Yep.
So our plan for this cabin is to have it as a guest cabin, and also to potentially do have woofers or workaways come and have a Canadian experience and help us here on our farm. So we'll see. But initially it is going to be so that we can have our family come up and have a nice place to stay. So the plan is this loft up here, we'll have a double bed up here, and then underneath the loft we'll have a pull-out couch. Across the back side we're going to have a countertop with a microwave and a hot plate. And I'm kind of thinking of putting a sink in. I have a friend who has a cabin that doesn't have water running to it, and she just has a little electric pump and brings in a 5-gallon bucket of water, and we have the hydrant right outside of here that we could do for having just a little bit of, you know, hand washing water or whatever in the cabin itself. Is it? Okay, we have it done. And I'm really, really, really happy with the way it looks. It's awesome. We just made a decision that we're going to do this part of under the loft with the pine tongue and groove as well, just because I think it'll look nice, and it'll be pretty easy to do that way. But I'm really happy with the way that turned out, hun. Looks so good.
Here,
2 lights, yeah. And we have decided that we are going to put a window this size up in the loft because, oh, there we go, now we have light. We've decided that we're going to put a window up here because if there ever were a fire or anything down here, there would be no way to get out up there. So we're going to put a window this size up there with a ladder down the outside of the building so that there's a way to get out. Dan and I are going to head up to the spring. I'm just going to run inside. Ooh, we're all dusty. Dan's just playing around with the idea of building a small addition onto this cabin so that we could have a bathroom in it, because as it stands right now there's just going to be an outhouse, and then showering would have to take place in the main house, which isn't really ideal. We do have the hydrant, so we have water right beside there, so it is possible we could do that. It is such a different environment up here compared to, oh my goodness, there's mud all over the lens. It's such a different environment up here compared to down at the ranch because there's so much water. We even have ferns. It's so clear and beautiful. It looks awesome.
Piece of grass in it.
Oh, it smells minty. There's some wild mint around here I can smell. So the water is nice and clear. It doesn't look like we have to pump it out again at all, hey? Looks fantastic, yay! That's great. Yeah, the mosquitoes aren't nearly as bad as they were last time we were up here. Maybe they just haven't found us yet. So the actual spring is way up over here, and the water comes out from the base of the mountain and then comes down the little creek into the well box here. And down at the house we have a disinfecting system, so the water comes into the house and runs through some filters and then gets disinfected before we drink it. All the rest of the water just that we use out in the farm, feeding the animals and watering the garden and all of that, that water just comes straight from here. So we have a dream that we would really like to do, where we would like to take the overflow from the spring, which comes out right there, and that's quite a bit of water, and run it down the old creek bed. Back when they first found the spring and they ran the water to the ranch, it was just a creek that ran all the way down here. So we want to take that overflow and clean out the old creek bed so that we can have the creek run through the property, which would be just lovely, wouldn't it? Especially if it was down by the house so we could hear it. The mud. Ugh. This whole entire area has springs coming up all over it, so it's really marshy in here. But anyway, there's lots of wild edibles up here. Let me get back past all this mud so I can jump back on the quad. Okay, we are back in my incredibly chaotic house because we're in the middle of renovations. We have drywalling happening all over the place. This recipe that we're doing is out of my cookbook, and I do have another video where I show how to do this recipe step by step, so I'll put a link for that for you down in the show notes. My cookbooks are going to be available very soon. I know I've been saying that for a while. You can actually purchase the digital edition of this cookbook on my website right now. But what we're trying to do is to find ways to make shipping as inexpensive as possible. So we're going to have a location in the United States for shipping to other parts of the world and within the States. And then I'm going to get some shipped to me so that I can ship to my Canadian, or for the Canadian orders, I can ship directly from here to keep shipping costs down for you. So very, very soon these will be available. I know I've been saying that for a while. This has been a much larger project than I had originally anticipated, but if you would like to get the digital version, that is available over on my shop, which I'll also put a link for down in the show notes for you. But I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. The thing that I love about the size of this cookbook is it has made everything really, really easy to read as far as the recipes go. As you can see, super easy to read. So we have this hardcover version and a soft cover version that will be available very soon. So frying all of that up, we already have the meat all fried up for this recipe, so we're gonna throw that in here. Going to add 3 quarts of spaghetti sauce, or this is actually just plain tomato sauce that I canned last year. Okay. Now we're gonna throw in some tomato paste. Just, I don't know, probably 2 8-ounce jars worth of tomato paste. I buy mine in bulk and then freeze it and put it into Ziploc bags and then just use what I need for each recipe. Then we have a whole bunch of seasonings and spices that we're going to add into this, along with a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar. And the nice thing is this can cook down all day until we're ready to eat it. It smells really good already. One of my mom's secret ingredients for this tomato sauce recipe is squash, and I don't have any squash right now, so I'm gonna make sure that when my squash are ready in the fall, I'm going to can a bunch of it for over the winter, so that I can have some available to me at this time of year when the squash that I have in cold storage are no longer good to use. So this is going to be without the squash today. So there we go. Now we have spaghetti sauce ready. I just have to cook up the noodles when we are ready to eat, and then dinner will be ready. I think I even have a loaf of garlic bread in the freezer that I can pull out, and we can have some garlic bread with this as well. All right, my friends, that is it for me today. I don't think I have anything else to share with you today, but I will see you again in a couple of days. I'll talk to you later. Bye.